how Chicago basically y'all had some of the most authentic raw talent that came out of y'all city. Now don't get me wrong, I know most states, have gangs. A lot of them have Crips and Bloods. You know, you just got different gangs. In Chicago, notoriously known for the BDs and GDs. Latin Kings, Four Corner Hustlers and stuff like that. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm a Chicago type guy, though. You know what I mean? There's just a lot of artists that I felt that was really authentic, and y'all really spoke on what y'all was living on in y'all music. But I just feel like, New York had its wave, LA had its wave, Texas had its wave, Louisiana had its wave, Florida. A lot of these states had their wave, but Chicago, y'all time for the Midwest pretty much was there. You know what I'm saying? It was there. And y'all really was next up. You know what I'm saying? Y'all really had it. Y'all really had it. And then not only that, Chicago got a lot of legends, but for the drill artists, like I said, I understand there was a lot of beef, going on, which there's a lot of beef in a lot of major cities and cities, though. A lot of the world was influenced by Chicago. You had New York drill, you had, LA drill, you had Texas drill, but none of it was like Chicago drill. And my thing is, y'all had it the most. Y'all was a city full of superstars. So just think if y'all had really came together, you know what I'm saying, and just created music, I don't think nobody else would have had it. Y'all would have been better than Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? And that's in my opinion. Because y'all was, some of the realest and authentic. What got me was, nobody your dead homies and all that stuff, man, that a lot of that to me came from Chicago. Wasn't nobody dissing the dead to me before like Chicago. Stacy, how you doing? I'm just on here talking about how you doing, Stacy? How you doing this evening? I'm just on here talking about how Chicago had the most influence, but man, it's y'all had a whole era of just greatness. Y'all was to me the last of generational hip hop. Sablo, how you doing? How you doing this evening? You've been to Chicago? You've been to Chirac? Yeah, I've been there. I've been to Chirac about 3-4 different times before. I got family. All my family pretty much is from Chirac. Because you had the BDK, GDK. You know what I mean? It's just I understand like the Lil Durk's L's Anthem, Lil JoJo's. Lil JoJo's BDK started up a real major war from the BDs and GDs in Chicago 19 times. Stacy, yeah, I only been there about 3-4 different times. Like I said, all my family is pretty much from Chicago. I'm the only one that wasn't born and raised in Chicago. But y'all, like I said, man, y'all was a city full of superstars. Don't get me wrong, Atlanta, was a city full of superstars, but Chicago, man, y'all really was the to me some of the realest that came out in this music. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people's, you know, the music that was coming out was questionable, whether the artist was real. Because a lot of the artists, basically that I came up with, you know what I mean, was you know, you had gangster rap though, you know what I mean. Don't get me wrong, but some of them artists was questionable though. Was you really living that street life like that? You might have talked about it in your songs, but was you really living it? Chicago, y'all was really living that, you know, that life. It's just too bad the GDK, you know, decimated y'all, and it just killed, you know, what really could have been. Because see, from what I'm seeing, you got a lot of interviews and people from Chirac talking about, you know, still talking about, you know, that drill era and stuff that happened in that drill era. You know what I mean? To me, they hold on because they know that was really some of the best. Y'all really had it, but y'all just couldn't get rid of the beef. Lance, what's up, man? How you doing this evening? I'm just only on this live talking about, you know, how Chicago had a major influence on the world, but they just couldn't get past the beef, man. It was a lot of, you know, a lot of serious beef that went on in Chicago, that went on for years and years and years. And y'all lost some of y'all best artists, though. You know what I mean? Just think the artists y'all had, like, you know, Young Pappy, Savage. One of my favorites. And I still think he was one of the favorites that, you know, to come out the city was FBG Duck. Lance, I'm doing good. I'm just on this live real quick before I get the rest of my night handled, and just want to speak on this, you know, this continued Chirac war that we still, you know, well over 10 years that they still, you know, talking about, you know, things that happened, you know, from Chirac. But my thing was, man, y'all had it, you know, like I said, Young Pappy, you know, like I said, one of my favorites, FBG Duck. Don't get me wrong, I like Lil Durk. Thank you for that subscribe too, though. Much love to you. I like Lil Durk. You know, you had King Von, you know what I mean? You know, it's just so much, you know, so much that we just, you know, that we lost. And I really felt y'all really was the next up, but y'all, it just, the beef decimated so much to where it killed off a whole generation of hip hop, because y'all was the next ones up. Yeah, King of Good, yeah, you know what I'm saying, for real. If y'all was any, you know, for y'all in the comments, if y'all was familiar with any of that drill, who was y'all favorite drill artists? But like I said, man, y'all had so much, man. Y'all had so much. And just if y'all could have came together, like I said, y'all would have been just as big as Atlanta. You know, Rondo number 9, LA, you know, LA Capone, you know, RIP THF Basil, man. Y'all had real, you know, real steppers out in y'all field, man. You know what I'm saying? You said, do I Drake? Or did you meant to say, do I drink? I just hate that we lost, you know, so much talent out of Chicago, man, for real. So much talent. You know, just think about it. Dirk, I mean, you know, Dirk to me was a superstar. He definitely was a superstar. But just think of the combination of Von and FBG Duck. Straight superstars would have been, to me, they would have been the biggest in the music right now. Yeah, I know Kendrick Lamar. You know, I rock with Kendrick Lamar, though. You know what I mean? I guess I know Drake, too, though. You know what I mean? But yeah, Kendrick Lamar, you know what I mean? He I liked him, you know what I'm saying? For real, you know, I was up on Kendrick Lamar. But I just had to make this live because I did a video before. If y'all go back and check out Legendary Legendary TV. It's either Legendary TV or Legendary Raw TV. Did I listen to Luther? You talking about Luther Vandross, or you talking about just the song Luther? What Luther you talking about? Are you talking about Kendrick Lamar Luther or Luther Vandross? But I just hate that, you know, that whole era just appeared, you know, killed itself off. You know what I mean? It's like the industry didn't. They knew y'all was next up because see now you got, you know, which is my next live is going to be about this whole T.I. 50 Cent, because to me 50 Cent and all them was off the radar when that drill was coming up. You know, I didn't see too much of 50 Cent, T.I., and I know T.I. wanted to sign L.A. Capone before he got, you know, murdered, but it was all about them. The whole world was all focused on Chicago. Them days the New York rappers and stuff like that, you know, it was all about Chicago. And then everybody else adapted off to Chicago and wanted to, you know, do drill music too. Even it even extended way out into the UK. Like I said, a lot of y'all would have came together. Y'all would have been, you know, I don't think nobody could have broke y'all up. No matter whether you was BDK, whether you was BD, not BDK though, but whether you was BD, GD, whatever, you know what I'm saying, section he was from, you know what I'm saying, out of Chicago. As far as that music, y'all definitely had it on lock, man. It just, I hate to see how much that real authentic, because see, people was craving real authentic. People get tired of that fake, you know what I mean? You get people rapping, but it's like, man, your street credibility is in question, you know what I mean? So now we getting old guys again, like, you know, and don't get me wrong, I like the T.I., I like 50 Cent. I definitely like 50 Cent. You know what I mean? But we going back to getting them beefing and get beefs again, and then it make you wonder. It's like, well, is it real beef? But like I said, I'm gonna say that for another live. You know what I mean? That's my next live I'm gonna do. But I just had to get on here and talk about this the Chirac, because y'all definitely had it, man. I just hate that you know, it all got demised. Like I said, Lil Durk, you know, RP FBG Duck, Young Pappy, L.A. Capone, you know, Rondo number 9 locked up. You just had so many that was really influential in that era, that was real, and y'all was real street guys, you know what I mean? For real street. Y'all really was from them trenches though. You know what I'm saying? For real. But it just all got wasted. Like, you know, there's times I still wish Duck was here. Still wish, you know, King Von was here. L.A. Capone, man, you know what I'm saying? Just so much that we lost as a union. And just because you might not be from Chicago, you still lost. You still lost because we all the same skin color. So we all lost. Even though y'all was a generation younger than I am, you know what I mean? I'm a music fanatic. You know what I mean? So don't get me wrong, a lot of the artists that I did catch up on, like I didn't know FBG Duck really until he had passed away with the, you know, with that song Dead Bitches. That's my only song from FBG I really don't listen to, was Dead Bitches. because I felt that was real. And even, don't get me wrong, he been dissing, but that song itself to me put a dark cloud over him. And just in the seeing the video, you knew he was a real stepper. You knew he was one of them. Because to me, you know the ones that's real stepper. Like, to me, yeah, Duck was a real stepper. King Von, known as a real stepper. Lil Durk, he definitely, you know, is from them trenches. You know what I mean? Durk always had the respect because, you know, his dad, Big Durk. I know he used to be Dog Pound, and then went from Dog Pound to Lamron. But I was always kind of iffy about Durk, and I say this because when I first got tuned to Durk, it was at back in 2013. He had that song, "This Ain't What You Want." Then, you know, he had that one with Dej Loaf. Shawty wanna fuck with me. Shawty said she wanna fuck with me. With Dej Loaf, and then he had Shawty My Beyonce. Like I said, I knew he was from, you know, the streets and stuff like that, but he was on a different wave at that time. It wasn't to me when he got around. To me, when he got around Rondo number 9, and then another one that was a real stepper, Fredo Santana. Rest in peace, Fredo Santana. Rest in peace, Blood Money. King Lil J. I gotta add King Lil J in there because to me, he was the one that put FBG on the map because, you know, he was, you know, dancing and stuff, and, you know, he was talking about the ops and everything. So to me, he kind of put FBG on the map, should I say? Until he started his own, you know, we the ops or whatever like that. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? It's just crazy to me because to me, we'll never get nothing like that again. Chicago, y'all really, really, really had it. Y'all had it. Because to me, you know, there's killings everywhere. But when Atlanta was blowing up, did you see them killing each other like that? You know, there might have been beefs and stuff like that. But them well-known artists was not killing each other. They was all coming together and making music. Chicago should have been the same way. But to me, more influential and better to me. Like I said, we're not gonna get nothing like that again. To me, you know, Durk locked up. It just ain't the same. It's just not the same. You know what I mean? No more. And to me, they're still trying to hold on because to me now they're really realizing what they had. You know, you got them interviewing Big Mike, from Big Mike from O Block. Again, a Wooski brother. Wooski was definitely one of them. R.I.P. Lil B. Lil B was definitely one of them. You just had so many steppers, man. You had so many steppers and real people that was really from the trenches, man. And not only that, y'all was really living that life. Now, I just didn't agree y'all putting it on camera and a beat and actually, you know, telling actually what y'all did. So that was kind of crazy to me at that time. It's like, dang, who does that? You know, just kill somebody and then all of a sudden just go on there and I didn't kill this person, that person. You know what I mean? It's like I said, it was just a lot of bodies dropped from that era. And to me, they're trying to wrap it up. They're trying to wrap that era up, but they're still trying to hold on because it was just so much behind that was untapped or because like I said, there'll never be nothing like it. Nothing. To me, we ain't really had no other music really hit the charts since that Chicago, drill died. And I'm just kind of like, man, I just wish that, like I said, I understand things happen. There's beefs everywhere, there's killings everywhere, but Chicago, man, y'all was some of the realest and real street steppers, man. You know what I'm saying? It's just too bad that it seemed like it all became about GDK and BDK and just all around, man. Like I said, it just was on my mind to make this live about what we missed out of Chicago, man. Because that really was a different era. You know what I mean? People say, "Oh, well, there was gangsters back then in the rap," but I said, "Yeah, they was rapping about if what they'll do to you if you mess with them or something like that." But these was real, real gangsters though. And like I said, we'll never get nothing like that fully again, man. You know what I mean? And that's why I believe they still interviewing a lot of those Chicago steppers, you know what I mean? Because they know they're not going to get nothing like that again. All I see throughout the time is interviews from people from Chicago, because that was the biggest wave at that time. And don't get me wrong, I still go back and listen to Duck. I still listen to Dirk. I still listen to some of Von, Pappy. You know what I mean? I listen to Bibby and Herb. You know what I mean? So much power and influence, man, that y'all had, but it's just like y'all lost. We lost. You know what I mean? So much bloodshed, man, and I just don't like it because we lost so much, man. And to me, they're just not. And see, to me, once Dirk got locked up, that whole music industry to me fell off. And then you had an industry that had a lot to do with that too. They sitting back behind the scenes watching, picking and choosing who they wanted to, sign or hang around or something like that, man. You know what I mean? Because the industry knew Chicago was something different. Chicago wasn't gonna be able to be controlled like that. Now you had your ones that they picked. Because you see, they really wanted Chief Keef, but Chief Keef was like, "I'm out of there." He got his money and left. So they got the right person that wanted that, Lil Durk. To me, they got him to turn on the Chicago felons, though. You know what I mean? For real, like, I bet you Durk is sitting in that cell thinking, like, man, my mind was messed up. When you got so much going on in the streets and you some of the biggest, influence and rappers out there, and you touring the world and stuff. So you thinking that's cool beefing with your ops, man? You know what I'm saying? Instead of y'all getting together and making this money and turning up for y'all city and coming together for y'all city, because you know how much money. Like, I can only imagine a album with Von, Dirk, FBG Doug, Young Pappy, which is, I know Young Pappy and Duck got a song, they didn't like it because Duck was, a GD. But you can't mess with them because they from the other side. It's like, man, GD, BD, Black Gangster Disciples. Y'all was once a whole organization. BD, GD. I mean, it's man, you know what I mean? It gets to me every time. Like I said, I talked about this years ago. Like I said, y'all go check out. It's either on Legendary Raw TV or either Legendary Raw TV 2.0. And I had one I first started called The Legendary Show. So I've been in the game and this YouTube game a long time. I've been in the game a long time myself because I am a legend. But man, RIP to all to that generation of hip hop that we lost. Because I ain't gonna lie, that new era of drill just don't do it for me. It's that old era of Duck, Von, and them that was it. To me, when Duck and Von died, that was the end of that. And the new generation just ain't cutting it. You know what I mean? Because they get in the game dissing the ones that came up before them. You know what I mean? So it's just not really cutting it for me. I haven't really too much paid attention to it because, like I said, my era was ducking them. Not really my era, but if I'm gonna have to choose the era, it would be ducking them generation, should I say, because I am a little older than them. You know, I would be like a big brother to most of them. But they is the generation behind us. But RIP, like I said, RIP to the greats and everybody who lost their lives in that Chicago war, man, that Chirac war, man, because it was just a tragedy, man, and so much was just taken from us. And I know y'all gotta be, for the ones that still here, y'all gotta be sitting back thinking like, man, we had it. We had it because there wouldn't have been no other body to take y'all spot. To me, a lot of people would have to go to Chicago to make music instead of going down to Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? But I know they trying to wrap that timeline of the drill up because there just ain't nothing left of it. Yeah, you still got Chief Keef, but you know Chief Keef linking with NBA YoungBoy. You know what I mean? So then you know, there's and at this point, if you ask me, you know, Chief Keef linking up with NBA YoungBoy, that's just what it is. You know what I mean? Because from what I seen, Chief Keef had this up from O Block a long time ago. Steaming from when Boss Talk him, I guess, broke in his house, and you know, the death of Blood Money, you know what I mean? Just a lot that had went on, you know what I mean? But I just hate it, man, because like I said, y'all definitely was some of the best. And RIP to all the fallen soldiers that we lost in that Chirac war. And just RIP to all the fallen soldiers we lost worldwide in that music. You know, you got to give, like I said, I give them a shout out to most, the Chirac fallen soldiers. You got to shout out RIP to Mo 3. JD Young and you know just so much, you know what I mean, that was just, you know, a lot of those rappers that were just getting knocked off, you know what I mean, for nothing. And I ain't gonna really say for nothing, but you know, because the beef was for something, but at the same time I think it was a lot of things that y'all could have came together. Like Duck by far was not innocent, but to me, he was the realest because he at least did try to stop that Chirac war. He realized my peoples is done, y'all peoples is done. Let's just get this money, y'all. He tried it with the Chicago Legends. He gave a shout out to all his ops. But that still wasn't enough. Just because of who he was and what side he was from. They couldn't let it go at the time because it was what was getting them paid. It's what the streets and them wanted to see. Y'all had some of the biggest influence over even the industry celebrities. That's how they even started getting into it, because they realized y'all was getting more views on YouTube than they was. And so they figured out what's going on. So then when they seen what was going on, they're like, oh, this is they sing blood, they see money in blood. You know, and to me, they drew out the areas that they wanted to start the beef between the BDs and GDs, and then they had they super the rappers like Duck GD side, Dirk Von and them BD side. Now it was, to me, it was common for the people around they entourages to get, you know, knocked off, but then all the rappers was getting knocked off. But man, like I said, man, I just I never really agreed with dissing the dead. Because what would you do if the dead turned around and came back to life, not of the living dead? That's one thing we didn't play with, dissing the dead. Let the dead rest in peace. They're not coming back. Talking about digging them up and killing them. You just that's just you know, Chicago got real demonic. They always said Chicago was the devil's seat. And it really showed, because we lost a lot. Not just Chicago, but just us as a whole. And then everybody else who lost from other sections. Louisiana was another city that superstars, but the only two people that really made it out of there was No Limited Cash Money. You got an NBA Youngboy, but and Boosie, and you know, but the rest getting killed. R.I.P. G Money, to me one of the realest out of Louisiana. You know, and I like Youngboy. I like Youngboy. It was G Money for me though, but you know, I like Youngboy. But this is what I had to put on there. I'm gonna get off this live, y'all, and hopefully y'all check this live out and y'all give me your input on what y'all think. But I had to run this back again, because like I said, I talked about this years ago. Like I said, y'all go check out some of my old work a few years ago. Because like I said, this ain't my only page. My last page, you know, I got over 1,200 subscribers and over 300,000 views. So I'm definitely known, you know what I mean? But it's just some topics I got to get on and just, like, you know, and just speak on. RIP in Chicago, man. I just wish that y'all could have really came together and ended that war. Because now that the war is ended, look where it got everybody at. And New York's final boss locked up. Legendary The Rebirth. Y'all stay tuned for these L Chronicles, and I'll be back at y'all live again with another one. Like I said, my next one, I'm gonna be talking about this 50 Cent T.I. and why. These guys is damn near 50 something years old. Damn, I mean almost 50, you know, I would believe. And whether it's for entertainment or whatever, but you got King talking about 50 go dig up your dead mama, and it's just, you know, I'm just telling y'all, all the dissing and stuff is getting real lame, y'all. It's lame, especially against your own kind. I seen a video where they talking about LA gangs is scared of the Mexican gangs, but we so quick to go at each other though. The Mexican gangs running LA. You know what I mean? But I did say Legendary The Rebirth. Y'all stay tuned for these L Chronicles, and I'll be right back at y'all. Rest in peace to all the fallen soldiers.